For anything fair to happen in this world, you need opposing forces. Whether be a country or corporate, however inefficient democracies may sound, there is still a larger element of fairness left in democracies, because the opposing forces ensure appropriate checks are in place. We seem to be missing such activist forces in our corporate system though. Just noticing the Z Management, Vedanta and a few more organizations in India, I am convinced that the Hindenburgs are in need of this time. But only to the extent they do not time and manipulate the markets and stay within their boundaries of research. I always used to wonder why India, in spite of its mathematical talents, has not been able to establish a financial system to the scale of the US markets. The difference, I believe, lies in the absence of a larger ecosystem in India. For a company like Hindenburg to benefit from a 2-year extensive research, they need larger hedge funds and investment bankers to buy into their reports and thereby get their desired payoffs. In India, we do not even have the concept of hedge funds. We have not heard of quantitative trading and experienced algorithms in the stock market till the likes of Zerodha came into existence just a few years back. But US, on the other hand, has been using quantitative trading, even before the acceptance of personal computers as a norm. That's how wide the gap between US and Indian financial markets are. Ecosystems are heavily underrated in India. If governance springs from a transactional mentality, then an ecosystem will be even out of conceptual reach. If governance arises from the intent to provide sufficient infrastructure, support systems and ease of business practices, and most importantly paying it all forward over a period of 10 to 15 years, those are the thought societies that end up building an ecosystem and eventually become wealthier than their transactional counterparts. Dubai, Singapore, British Hong Kong, Bengaluru, Texas in the US are some excellent examples of delayed gratification paying handsomely. Conviction. Last week, when HAL dropped like a ball, I came out boldly and said, this is the time to cost average the stock and why HAL cannot fail you in the long term. This week at its highs, the stock rose by 11% from last week's closing. Conviction is your ability to stand up for what you believe is true, even when the odds are stacked up against your opinion. And conviction can be developed only based on true hard facts and not based on someone's idea, someone's intellectual narrative, or someone's stock tip. So, end of the day, if you condense the financial markets, it's nothing but an endless cycle of decision-making. And every single time the decision-maker is always convinced that his decision is right, irrespective. But only less than 1% end up making the right decisions. So more than information in itself, the most valuable attribute in investing is the ability to dissect fact from fiction, in order to develop the right convictions. PSU investing. There are people who term the stock market as gambling. Why so? Because there are so many variables in the stock market, it's like playing golf near a windy ocean, you just cannot control it. But certainly you can reduce the impact external variables can have on your decisions. And here's one. As an investor, you make your decisions primarily based on the growth prospects and the balance sheet of a company. But what if the balance sheet and P&L are all cooked up? It happens all the time, right? Gitanjali Gems, DHFL, PC Jewelers, and an endless list. And hence the advent of forensic audits. As retail investors, we cannot afford a forensic audit. But you can eliminate the risk of cooked-up accounting by focusing your portfolios on public sector companies. Some PSUs could be inefficient, but they do not have the need to cook up their books like some private players. So if you want to play conservative in the market, PSU-focused investing is something you should consider. You can at least eliminate one major variable, the risk variable, of someone swindling your capital completely. To me, that is a huge leverage in building conviction on a stock. People focus on returns all the time and lose the capital. But isn't it better to focus on capital protection first and then time to adjust your returns? My above thoughts doesn't take a genius in me to write them, but just some common sense, and if you are serious about your investing goals, I recommend you consider the above thoughts. It could be highly beneficial in building a rock-solid portfolio. The man with a plan. Bharti Airtel. During the last few weeks, I've been highlighting India's shift in defense strategy and its focus moving towards the Indian Ocean and its preparation to strengthen the Indian Navy considerably. And since the time I mentioned it on my reports, it so happens that the GOI has been allocating major defense purchases to the Indian Navy. So now the Navy has submarines, warships, a land dedicated in the middle of Indian Ocean, fighter jets and all fancy equipments in mid-sea. But hypothetically, what will an offensive nation attack first, if the war should happen on sea? They might not attack your land or equipments first. They will first destroy the undersea cables that provide internet services. And with that, major communication will be lost, and that's more than half the battle won. But till last week, we did not have a backup for such an eventuality. But with the Airtel-backed OneWeb constellations now orbiting, if there is a possible undersea cable destruction, OneWeb has the ability to flash internet on any remote area around the subcontinent through its satellites. Although Bharti Airtel doesn't intend to target defense as a client base for its premium satellite internet, this technology is a confidence booster for the Indian Defence Forces, just in case there is a need. And India is one of the very few countries that has the ability to flash internet on Earth through satellites. And OneWeb is currently the only provider of this high-end technology in India. That's why I think Sunil Mittal is always several steps ahead of the average Indian leadership. His clarity of thought and will is extremely rare. Every price drop in Bharti is an opportunity. Till Sunil Mittal is at the helm, Bharti Airtel is a no-brainer buy on dip.